Hey, John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy for Global Real Estate School, and thanks for joining another YouTube video. Well, I want to go over a few questions that have recently been addressed on the examination. This is 2023, so these are some new questions that I've had some students just ask me general information to make sure they understood the topic correctly. The first question dealt with a net listing, and I don't know if the question says why are net listings illegal, or why can you not have a net listing, or what's the problem there. Remember, a net listing is when the seller says to you, all I want is this amount. For example, hey John, all I want's $100,000. Anything over that amount, you can keep yourself. Well, that's not very good for the public, is it? You know, one of our jobs is to safeguard the public, and the Real Estate Commission really wants to safeguard the public and make sure that the public is not at danger of any types of wrongdoings. Well, a net listing in that example really puts the public at a disadvantage. And so you need a set commission rate on all your listing agreements or buyer's agency agreements. Now, commissions are negotiable. You will see that question on the exam, maybe in a couple of different formats, but please don't miss that. Commissions are negotiable between the broker and buyers and sellers. Their commission, if you're a property manager, they're negotiable for the property management fee that you charge. Commissions are always negotiable. They're negotiable between brokers and brokers and brokers and their own agents. So you will not miss that on the exam, okay? Commissions are negotiable. But you have to have a definite commission or a set commission on your listing agreement. So don't miss that question, okay? Now, you could see a question about does a listing agreement or a buyer's agency agreement, same thing, except it's just with a buyer, you have to have a definite expiration date. So don't forget that. They always need a definite expiration date. There was another question that said, could a person have a listing and it has an automatic renewal until you tell them, I want to cancel? And the answer is no, you can't do that. Why? Because listing agreements, buyer's agency agreements, always have to have a definite expiration date. So, a couple of questions recently seen. Maybe you'll be able to answer those correctly now, okay? Now, the property is immediately adjacent to the water. Is it okay to say waterfront home? Well, sure it would be. Now, here's a good example of reading the question very carefully, because if the owner doesn't own the property or the strip of land in front of the water, no, you couldn't say a waterfront home. I don't think you could if you don't own that property. Just read those questions carefully. I'm thinking if it's adjacent to the water and your home's there, right next to the water, sure, you could say it's a waterfront home. If it's across the street, no, it's not waterfront. So just read that very carefully. Same thing with views and so forth. We always have to be accurate and honest with our advertising and how we are marketing the property. Your friend lists her property with you, and she says you can list until fulfillment of the purpose. What do you put as the expiration in the agreement? Well, that's what I just covered a moment ago. You can't do that, right? You have to have a definite expiration date. So look for those. If you see any question regarding can we do an automatic extension or a fulfillment of the purpose? No, has to have an expiration date. That's a law, okay? Now, who does a transaction broker actually represent? Remember, we're talking about Missouri here. Transactional broker, you cannot advocate for either party. Advocate means take a side or give advice, right? Can't do either one of those. You're a transactional broker, so you don't represent either party. You're a neutral party in the transaction. And then, what does a broker generally provide as an independent salesperson? That's a great question. And, choices may have been advertising, office space, commission. Well, remember, as an independent contractor, you would be paying your own taxes. You set your own hours. You have to abide by the policy and procedures manual of the brokerage, and you have to follow the laws under the real estate commission. But what does a broker actually owe the salesperson? Well, you don't have to provide an office. That's not required. You don't have to provide advertising. That would not be required. Commission, well, I think that might be the correct answer. I told the person I spoke to about this is that if there was an answer about management duties or supervision, that's probably what I would go with. But if there was salary or commission, probably commission is the answer. So here's what I want to tell you on this question. Read it carefully. Understand, as a broker, you don't have to provide certain things because you're an independent contractor. You could pay your own advertising. You could work virtually, but you would be on a commission basis. So I don't know all of the wording to that question, but I just want you to understand the concepts between independent contractor and an employee. An employee, you're paying taxes for them. You might even have to provide insurance. You can set hours, a lot more things that you can require out of an employee, where an independent contractor is totally different than that. Okay? Kind of that's how sometimes these questions can be really challenging. Just read it a couple of times. If a person's working under a company, can he assist the caller with pricing without a license? Now, again, Missouri, these were questions seen on Missouri. They apply. A lot of the states, the laws are the same. If a person's working under a company, can he assist the caller with pricing without a license? No, can't do that, okay? Can never give out pricing without a license in Missouri. If a salesperson lists his fiance's property for sale, he needs to make his status as a licensee known in writing to the other parties. Does he need to indicate his relationship with his fiance to the other parties? Yes. And that would also need to be put on the contract, okay? So it's a fiance, it's a future interest. Remember, family members, immediate family members, always disclose that to the other parties. The commission just does not want any unfair advantages to the public, so I want you to understand that. Does the Missouri Real Estate Commission ask licensees under investigation to be in the state of Missouri during the investigation if he or she is out of state for vacation or some other reason? Well, that's a challenging question, and I need to really do some more work on that. However, I want you to understand the concept that when you get licensed in Missouri, you are saying to the Missouri Real Estate Commission, look, I'm willing to come to Missouri for a hearing in any county that you filed a lawsuit or a hearing in. So I don't know all of the specifics to this. I don't think the commission has the authority to tell you you can't leave the state for a vacation if you're under investigation. I've not heard of that. If someone knows differently, please put that in the remarks. However, I do know that as a licensee, you are telling the commission you will come to Missouri and be present and show up for any type of a hearing, even if you live in another state, period. Okay, does that make sense? So you're willing to come to Missouri if there's any kind of charges filed against you and they need to subpoena you or have you come. You couldn't use the excuse that, well, I live in another state, so I'm not coming. or you couldn't use the excuse, I'm going on vacation, you'll need to show up for that hearing. Okay. So that might have been how that question was asked, but just wanted to give you those specific questions, and hopefully those will help you pass that state portion of the Missouri real estate exam. Hey, thanks for joining us for the podcast. Be sure, I said podcast, it's a YouTube video, but be sure and join us at globalrealestateschool.com for information about our courses. We also have our YouTube and podcasts there, lots of information. And so check us out there. If you need help passing the real estate exam, we have the Ultimate Real Estate Exam Prep. We have resources available for you. If you've gone to another school, we've helped lots of students who couldn't pass the Missouri portion. Just reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you and give you that information for those. But thanks for watching this YouTube video. Go out and make it a great day. I don't know what I did there, but